please feel free to ask. It's all right to stay there. It's fine. Yes, Osani.
So, as you said, it's ideal to help other people when you get complete awakening or enlightenment. But then what you said is that we cannot help until we can get complete awakening, or if we can help before we get complete awakening, what can we do?
Actually, if you can drive and somebody is totally helpless on the road, compared to that person, you have driving enlightenment. Okay? So don't expect yourself to be perfect. It will not be decided by the Supreme Council of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. See where you can help in a very clear situation, and you can do that. Just keep practicing and helping other people. In fact, the two go side by side the best. It's also true that if you're a monk or a nun, it's good to do suheng for 10, 15, 20 years, depending on your own situation, your own way, your master, etc. And then try to help. But in our lives, very few people can actually cut their hair, leave home, and devote 10, 15, 20 or more years for exclusive practice of the Dharma. I know it's the traditional ideal that one lifetime or many lifetimes we would like to do that. All of us would like to do that. But face it, this lifetime you're a laywoman, and it's fine that way. Other people in this Sangha now, laymen. And we can practice. I started out like that. I started out like a layman, practicing regularly every single day. So then our practice energy merges with our lives. And that's what's important. A mature, clear, helpful life. So don't wait for perfection. It never comes. That's the problem. Okay? So you can become better, you can become more clear, you can become more compassionate, wiser, stronger, etc. But don't wait until the elephant says hello. Because it's not going to happen like that. Find the situation where you are the best driver and the others have not even a car. Okay? Then you can help them. All right? More questions?
I want to know what Kwanum means. Kwanum. Your school is
sound.
Kwanum Sonjo? Yeah. Nowadays, I sound meditation. I know about sound meditation. Kwanum Sonjo is sound. Actually, it's a sound meditation.
Yeah.
So, you
hear a sound and you meditate on it. Listen carefully.
Yeah.
What kind of sound do you hear? We are listening to the sound of the traffic. Sometimes my voice too, sometimes your voice too. But what is really constant this moment, whether you and I talk or not, is the sound of Big Boss right out there. Okay? Why do we use the sounds? Why not something else? First of all, there's a comparative advantage that you cannot shut your ears. You can shut your eyes, you can shut your mouth, you can shut your nose, but you cannot shut your ears too long. You can try, but after a while you have to let go. So naturally, even while we are asleep, our ears are open and we perceive sounds. In fact, while we are asleep, we selectively perceive sounds. That's how the mind works. So the mother who has a kid and very tired because young baby, etc., lots of work and care, etc., she sleeps, and even if there's heavy traffic before the house, she doesn't wake up. Very noisy, heavy traffic. But the kid cries, even very faintly in the next room. Immediately, mother is up, goes, takes care of her, and then come back. Okay? Selective hearing. Now, this kind of selective hearing while we are awake is actually a hindrance. So when we meditate, we hear all the sounds, everything, right in this moment. And then the next step is turn your hearing inwards and perceive what is it that hears the sound. And that's actually Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva or Kwanseum Bosal's original meditation, how he and later she got enlightenment. To avoid the confusion, Avalokiteshvara first was a male figure. And then later, because of the compassion aspect, as the figure was imported into China, became female. And now in India, it is also depicted as a female bodhisattva, or for some people, goddess of mercy or compassion. So the sound is a very important point because it keeps you in the moment and it really helps you reach down to your true self and experience your true self if you are not attached to the sound itself. If you are attached to the sound, then you are just listening to some universal recording which never ends. But what is important is that whether there is silence or some kind of noise, sound, music, whatever, the hearing is the same. And we can experience that. Just like the mind, whether the mind has an object, whether the mind has past, present, future, whether the mind has good or bad, or not, none of this, the mind is the same. The original mind is the same. So with the help of meditating with sounds, we can develop a lot of wonderful qualities. One of them is the mind which is in the moment. It's number one important. You don't have the moment, you don't have anything. You lose the moment, you lose everything. Okay? Next is the mind which is clear like space, clear like a mirror. And this clear mirror consciousness reflects everything as they are. Sky is blue, trees are green, floor is brown, canvas is white, many people sitting in a room. They seem to be very conventional things to reflect and say, oh, I can do this. But what about the time when your emotions want to overrule you? When your thinking wants to overpower you? When somebody else's emotions or thinking want to overpower you? Where is your clear mind at that time? That's why meditation makes your center stronger, makes your moment more clear, and makes this mirror clearer and stronger. That's why we practice. If we are attached to our karma, we don't hear the sound. We don't have the moment. And the mirror is covered with all our attachments. To give you a graphic example, if you have a favorite lipstick and you use it before the mirror, you can see whatever lipstick you are using. But if you put the lipstick on the mirror, then only that color is visible no matter what you have on your face. So that's how attachments work. You put some karma into your mind focus and you attach to it, you identify with it, you see only that. You don't see reality. Okay? That's why it's so important to come back to the moment, attain this clear mirror, and use it to perceive truth. And then one more step, perform correct function. And this correct function really means somebody's hungry, give that person food. Somebody's thirsty, give that person drink. Very simple, very clear. But if you just start to practice and make some effort, you see how little time, how short time we can keep this. And more often than not, we just follow some anger, desire, some ignorance in a zigzag, like and dislike mind, wanting mind, attaching mind, checking mind, making, all that. And when we do that, we lose the way. Then we create suffering. And other people can create suffering for us too. So you asked a wonderful question. And sometimes, the best meditation is just take a walk in the mountains. Listen to the sound of the forest, of the wonderful small creeks or rivers. Look at the lakes. Look at the white cranes. And when you go up to a certain elevation, look at the valley or the nearby rice fields or the expressways, the condos, the train lines, everything that nature or human beings created. Look at it and perceive it like in a mirror. It's so simple that most people don't believe that this is it. In fact, this is a very good starting point. And as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and your mind becomes more and more clear, you see that there's no need for anything external. We can use any kind of form. That's what temples are for, that we go there and bow and chant and sit and do Dharma combat and do together action, etc. That's all okay. But originally, this is not necessary. We are humans, we have karma, so we have problems. That's why we want to get enlightenment. We want to get rid of suffering. We want to get rid of these problems. So we need places where we practice the Dharma. But the practice doesn't end there. Like meditation does not equal the technique. Okay? So just teaching technique as practicing is a mistake. Starting with the technique is necessary so that you would attain the mind which is practicing. And after that, after many years of effort, everything can become practice. Okay? More questions?
Changing the color of the ox, it means the bad karma, remove the bad karma and turn to it as a good karma, or our senses or consciousness is the same level. But we approach it on the plain consciousness, and in the case, if we want to turn the color from black to white, then we use our intuition like transcendental logic, not normal logic. So in the case, it is not the importance. It is not important to perceive the plain thing, but we approach in the different dimensions, not the plain consciousness, but use the intuition or transcendental consciousness. And I'd like to know the turning the color, it means bad karma to good karma, or we transcendent bad or good karma.
So, if you don't mind, we simplify the whole thing a little bit. So, the turn of the color means that karma disappears. Originally, karma is not good or bad. We create it by dualistic thinking, but originally, it's not good or bad. It's just attachment. So whether you are attached to something which you call good, or whether you are attached to something which you call bad, equally is the same attachment. And over time, it changes. When it started out, it was very good, but you got attached to it, and it became later what you call bad. In fact, all of this is created by our mind, by our projection. So, if you say, or if you ask whether the color change means that bad karma turns into good karma, clearly no. Karma disappears, original mind reappears. Original mind has always been there, like the sky above the clouds. Likewise, the white cow, which is naturally not there, but in our metaphor it's there. The white cow has always been there, but it was covered by this brown mud. So if you scrape off the mud, original cow is there. Same thing with your karma. Your ignorant views, anger, desire, all of this goes away. Original true self has always been there. Never moving, never coming, going. And that is our practicing. Now, based on that, based on this clear mirror consciousness, which has qualities like wisdom, compassion, and true strength, we can create correct karma. So we can keep correct situation, relationship, and function. The white cow or the white elephant by itself is not good karma. It's something which is before thinking, before life, and that's so before the appearance of karma itself too. I think this is clear, right? Thank you. More questions. Wonderful questions so far. Keep going.
Actually, I had several questions about meditation and the breathing, but those were understood while I was reading your book, Mind Mirror. I appreciate it. And today my question is, I found that our relationship can be changed or destroyed. After going through sufferings, like critical disease or financial...
After going through what?
Sufferings.
Suffering?
For example, critical disease or financial difficulties. And then I realized that there is emotional leftovers. When I can put down these emotional leftovers, but the other is still holding them, my question is, what am I supposed to do? Just to let it be, or wait them, or do something to improve relationship?
Okay, understood. So actually, this question is two questions. The first is about the nature of separations, how we do that, whether it's financial difficulty or disease or something. And then you should really decide over a very important point. Do you follow your like and dislike mind, or you choose to be loyal to a person? Because no matter whether there's marriage or no marriage, in this case the form doesn't matter so much. Why? Even within a marriage or without marriage, people can choose to be loyal to somebody and stay with them whether they look beautiful or not after a disease, or whether they became poor after being rich. So that's what we call the human and compassionate approach to a relationship. I love you and support you no matter what. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's a vow. Okay? It's a vow. It's not something people put on you, or the marriage council tells you to do, or the priest or the Sunim or whoever performs the marriage tells you to do. You have to have it as a vow in your heart. Now, that defines the rest of the relationship. The other kind of relationship is that I like you and I supposedly love you as long as you are beautiful and rich and do what I say. What is that? It's like keeping a pet. Okay? So people have to decide what kind of relationship they really want to build. And if they build a kind of more sound human relationship, which is not so much bound to external conditions, then that relationship is lasting a lot longer. It's more stable, it's more clear, and I should say it's more human. Okay? Now, having said that, coming to the second part of your question, if somebody is still holding on to some emotional leftovers, and you are not, and you want out, then there are many ways to do it. And mostly human beings choose the ugly ways to do it. Okay? And that's what we should not do, because when we do that, we create bad energy, bad attraction, which is anger instead of love. But anger is also attractive. So the way you finish it, in that way you will continue it sometime later, because if you remember other parts of the teaching, it's cyclical, it comes back. So if you don't take the energy out of it, then that energy will come back in the form of continuing that relationship either this lifetime or that lifetime. Why? You still have some emotion left over, or the other person has. Both of you have to let go. Both of you. One is not enough. You can, 100%, but if the other person still wants to find you, there's always a knock at your door. Mentally, emotionally, or sometimes even physically, there's a knock at your door. Please talk to me. This kind of stuff. Okay? You're already out, but the other person is not. Both of them, both of you, have to let go of it. Now, the ugly endings, they always result in some disaster later. Or anger can shift back into love again, but it's very difficult. It requires so much forgiveness, so much compassion, and so much letting go that mostly people do not choose that. They choose some other partner, some other wife or husband, etc., believing that it will be different. Now, if they don't change their minds, then their karma also doesn't change. Then the problem with the relationship also will come back in a different form, in a different fashion. Somehow the exterior It's a little bit altered, but the problem inside is the same. Now, what is really necessary is that you thank that person for everything that you have received during that relationship. Ensure that there is still friendship and help available, but you do not want that close relationship anymore. So slowly and harmoniously separate. And basically, it has to be mutual. It has to come to a point when both of you walk out of that relationship with dignity and a lot of other qualities which I mentioned. And mostly human beings cannot do that. It's so easy to ask someone out for dinner when it's about to have a date. But it's so difficult to ask someone out for dinner when it's known to be the last one, when it's about separation. Then there's not so much nice talking, not so much kind of nice feelings. There's always this, I don't want to talk to you, type of thing. Now, if we can transcend our like and dislike mind in these situations, then we are really truly human beings. You don't have to carry a relationship which you don't want to. Nobody forces you to. But let's be human enough to start and end in a manner which doesn't have anger behind it, regrets behind it, guilt feeling behind it, all these things that still preserve some emotions, and they will be the foundations for the next meeting, and these are not the right foundations for the next meeting because it's the roots of suffering. So then, in fact, what is really high class, and I have seen that, they went for a retreat. They were separating, but they went for a retreat together. They kept the rules. They didn't talk to each other, but they practiced together. So all the projections, they went away. Because when we love somebody, the other is the best person in the world. And when we stop loving somebody, that person is the most hated in the world and the worst. And how could I ever do this? What happened to me, etc.? Well, nothing happened. You just had projections. And now also, projections of good and bad. So if you don't want to live with them, and we had better just clear them out and see the other person as he or she is, it's good to practice together with the intention that at the end, there's just a hapchang and a bye-bye. And if necessary, drink some tea, but don't talk too much. Go. Okay? And that clears it out. So we obviously put a lot more energy into beginning relationships than ending them. But once you have a certain heat, when two pieces of metal are welded together, you need to have the same heat to separate them. Otherwise, they break. Understood that? The same heat, the same loving kindness, the same compassion. I know this sounds very paradoxical, but actually that's the way it works. Whew, that was a tough one. Next one here. And don't forget the other questions. You know why? Because we may come back to them.
I thank you for your great Dharma talk, and I'd like to another question. I was shocked this morning from bad news from Busan. Our former President Nomuyon suicided himself. I know he also his family is also Buddhist. How can we explain his suicide according to the Buddhism?
More important than explanation is now, please, everybody hapchang 3 times Jijang Bosal together. Jijang Bosal, Jijang Bosal, Jijang Bosal. Thank you very much. We offer this energy to him that his mind would find the right way to the next correct rebirth. This is more important than I say from now on. Okay? He couldn't face the karma. That's it. And he wouldn't. No judgment here. He died. He decided, he did. We feel sorry for his family. We feel sorry for his friends. We feel sorry for the entire nation. This is not what we want to see. it's sometimes very hard to face your own karma. And sometimes you choose to cut the relationship between mind and body. But this is not the way to release that karma, because if you don't clear it, you are reborn with it. We talked about it earlier. So if you don't want to be reborn with that karma, use your time and use your suffering from that karma to become clear from it. And I wish this would happen to everybody in crisis. This man was in crisis. He chose to end his life. We are very sorry for that. And if you can bear it, then face the karma like in a mirror. And with correct repentance, any kind of karma can be resolved. Any kind of karma we can make disappear. From small to big, very heavy to very light, we can do that. I hope that none of us will lose sight, will lose wisdom, and will lose heart. And we always keep this clear mind which perceives our karma very clearly, no matter how bad and horrendous it might be. And we will always face that. And that makes us a mature and more wise and more compassionate human being. And I'm sure he will do this in his next lifetime. I'm sure he will be trying to reborn among favorable conditions and circumstances where his practice can unfold and his good roots. I mean, becoming a president is not easy. It's a really special karma in a way. And his good roots can actually bring the necessary flower and fruition and correct results so that he could resolve that. The worst problem with the suicidal karma is that next lifetime there will be temptations to repeat it. So once you do that, and you know that you can do that, it's very hard to transcend that in your next life's next crisis. Okay? So what we should see, and what I actually told to suicidal people who came to talk to me, and I wish he had some teacher and counselor who could have consulted him about this before he actually, Nomukyo, next president, if he could have consulted somebody, some Sunim or layperson, never mind, whom he deeply trusts and knows for a long time. If this could have happened, then he might not have chosen to punish the body instead of clearing the mind. To sever connection between body and mind rather than keep it and bear the consequences. Okay? Because one really important thing is that unless you clear the mind, no matter how you are reborn, you carry that karma in whatever body, on whatever planet, in whatever life form. You carry that karma, and it is expressed that way. Remember when we talked about animals being attracted to temples and listening to Yebo and also to Dharma talks? What kind of karma is that? When we have some kind of, monks assembly and we drink a lot of tea and we talk about our situation, then always somebody said, be careful, don't be reborn like that dog or a cat. Okay? When they asked the great Chinese Zen master how he will be reborn, he says to all the monks at that time, I will be reborn as a cow in my layman's house or lay supporter's house. The monks were shocked. You know what that means? It means that everybody, or nearly everybody, was a rice bag over there. So if you don't use the Shindo support correctly, next lifetime you have to pay back by serving that particular layperson. And how do you serve? I mean, cow is unfortunately just about serving, giving milk, and giving the meat and the skin and the bones and everything, boom, finished. So this is a really serious view. Most of us don't adopt it, and I don't mean these people right here. Human beings, the nearly 6.7 billion beings on this planet, mostly we do not adopt this really serious cause and effect view because it seems too deep and also most of the time unacceptable. We don't want this. But if you really look inside and discover how it is, or you just follow physics, you go down to the very, very basic building block of our universe, or the very, very largest picture of the universe, you find something disturbingly close to a kongan. Complete don't know, or complete emptiness, or infinity. So how do we deal with that, with our kind of sentient being mind, or a mind which is used to Newton physics, that actually, if I let this go, it falls downwards? Actually, with him, this is not a straight line, it's a curve. Because all space is curved. Okay? So, coming back to the point of the question, how do we go really straight? How do we keep this moment mind? If we really practice correctly, then we will always want to cultivate our consciousness no matter what kind of karma we've got. I really wish that great people and also people with not so significant karma would understand that karma is going up and it can also go down. One moment we can be the most famous and next moment we can be the most infamous. Okay? The wheel turns around. If you get off the wheel, you are free. If you are on the wheel, you're moving up and down all the time. Okay? Thank you for your question. Right here, in the front. Who was the next? Do you remember? Oh, yes. Back there and then back there.
Regarding the Nomoyan's death, I feel really sad, but I strongly believe that we should consider situation before the judgment. So for me, it doesn't matter that he is Buddhist or Christian, but I really am mad and upset about the current situation that drives him the suicide. Of course, I'm not sad. He did the right thing, but I'm really upset about the current situation and government, and I feel angry. And how can I deal with that? I'm just
keep
confused.
the Jijangbosa practice. That's why we tried it for a very short time, because anger doesn't help. In fact, from an angry mind, any other mind is repulsed, totally turned away. So if you want to help him, use Jijangbosa energy to connect with him. Okay? And conventionally we say pray for him. It's not exactly accurate. You don't kind of pray for him to an external being, that the external being would help. No, you turn your mind into the energy of the great vows, into the energy of the straight path. Similarly, when you do Kwanum Kido, you don't pray to somebody, you become Kwansen Bosa. Your mind becomes compassion. You don't expect anything from the outside. I mean, what is there? Okay? Even if there are higher beings without a physical incarnation, you have to become compassion. There is no other way. So in this case, we say pray for him. Or pray for all beings that deceased. But it's not praying to somebody and that goes to him. No, we directly, in Zen we say, from mind to mind. We send this energy by our chanting. Anger doesn't help. Also, love doesn't help. I'll tell you a story about it later. We should realize what he realized this morning. He's dead. He cannot return to his body. So the mind chooses the next path, which is incarnating again. He didn't become free from his karma, so he's incarnating again. And so that he could make the right choices before birth, this energy contains the seed of enlightenment, the Jijangbosa energy. That's why we say it's the energy of great vow. So that as you are in the state of death, you can still perceive and you can still make some decision, and Jijangbosa energy helps dispel the clouds of your karma so that you could see a little more clearly. Okay? So if you have some inyon or some kind of connection or some emotional reaction, immediately use that energy for Jijangbosa. Okay? That's the correct path. Like with being sick, if somebody is sick, you can be upset with that person because he or she is sick. But immediately use Kwansan Bosa energy to try to heal. It doesn't matter whether you are a doctor or not. Just keep the correct relationship. And that's why I'm suggesting that you do that. And now the example which you really have to hear is that, there are these psychic people who can see those beings that have deceased, and sometimes the relatives, they go to these people and ask, what happened to my mother or father after she died? Then these people say something. Some of them are clear, some of them are not. But once there was a very clear communication. Why? Because it completely corresponds with the Buddhist teaching. And the relatives went to this person, this seer, and said, okay, where is she? And then seer, okay, she's right here in the room. So please tell her that we all love her. And then that happens, and then what did she say? Then the seer says, she said that please let her go. They didn't understand. We love her, we miss her, we cry. Says, response, please don't cry, don't attach to me, don't love me. Let me go. So again, we return to Jijang Bosal energy, because loving energy and anger energy, they are attractive in the same way, except that the polarity is different. One is harmonious, the other is destructive. Okay? So don't keep him, even with that negative attraction. Okay? Don't keep him. Help him go on his way. All right?
There is something wrong in our society, and sometimes I feel like we need action, not meditation. So what can I do?
Actually, let me ask you, what kind of action are you thinking about? I'm really curious. What kind of action you suggest instead of practicing and clearing our consciousness? What's your suggestion?
Well, I think that we should do something right.
What is it? We can stop right here. Really, work on this a little bit. I'll be interested to hear, but not now. You know why? It's not clear yet. It's not ripe yet. But let me just remind of the Avatamsaka Sutras, the Hwam Kyong's basic teaching, that if you want to understand this world, consider it as created by mind alone. So if you have a problem with the world, and there is a very deep teaching, not just in Buddhism, but Taoism in a different way also says the same thing. If you want to understand it, perceive it as created by mind alone. So what kind of action do you want to take? Think about it very, very deeply. Digest this. You don't have to go the wrong way. In fact, when you think about other people's karma, you also have to recall the story of the Buddha and the woman whose child died. And this is the story of the mustard seed. The woman said, please, Lord, resurrect my child. And then the Buddha said, yeah, I can do that if you bring me an ointment made of mustard seeds that were obtained in houses where there was no death. So the woman is searching and trying to find houses without death, but everywhere they say, I'm sorry, we had death in this family a long time ago. So the ointment doesn't work. It's not there. So she understood. So no one can make another person's karma disappear. So what is really important, that by our practice and by our mind, by our straight and clear loyalty to the path and to each other, we inspire each other. If he had inspiration, any kind of teacher, and I really don't mean just Buddhist, although you said the family was Buddhist, any kind of person whom he trusts as a higher spiritual person, they could have taught him, and I wish that could happen, like I said, in his next life. But any kind of external action, what's wrong with society? Society is created by human beings. The quality of society is exactly equal to our mind quality. If our mind quality is wrong or bad, you say, then our society also is wrong and it's going the wrong way. Then we create more suffering for each other and also for this planet. That is correct, that is true. But what kind of external actions do you want to take? Like a major protest against ignorance? How would that work? Okay? So really think about it again, and don't think that it's incorrect or bad that you raised the question. It's a very sincere mind which raised the question. But I'm pointing out areas where you cannot get correct answer. And gently pointing all of us back to the very path where we can attain a more enlightened consciousness. And that creates a different society also. Okay? Next.
about what she just said about the action. Can some action like candlelight demonstration against the government and against criminal prosecution for the family is going to help for all of us, of the society?
Look, you do this candlelight against something or somebody, what do you get? You get more opposites energy. You make right or wrong, you don't help anybody. See the situation clearly. He died. Light a candle for his correct passing. Light a candle for his enlightenment. Light a candle for his next birth. But don't light a candle against something. If you go against something, how can you expect that they would finally attain enlightenment? It's not going to work like that. Remember, if this exists, that also exists. If this stops to exist, that also stops to exist. The most fundamental teaching on dualistic qualities in the Dhammapada. Okay? So can you just stay without judgment and see how you can help? It's more important than anything. And when you do that, you have already made this world a better place. Okay? Last question, over there.
Can you define karma and the best way to let go of karma or move beyond karma?
Excellent. Karma is cause and effect, the accumulation of cause and effect, and the identification with cause and effect. Question 2. Karma is created by your thinking. You cut your thinking, you cut your karma. Clear? Thank you very much.